Okay, we are officially live and I'm totally feeling like a parent today and my kids aren't even here because just all the moving pieces that go into getting us together and getting us on here. So welcome for everybody that's here joining us again. We moved our time. So for those of you that were here an hour earlier, sorry, but we're here now. So jump in, share this video so that we can let our community know what's happening with developmental screenings, child screenings, learning checkups. You'll hear us use those terms interchangeably today. So we're Start at Zero, where our mission is partnering with parents and caregivers to promote healthy early childhood development. You can find more information at startatzero.org. But what that basically means, I think we use these terms and you have a mission and a vision, but like, what does that actually mean on the ground? So what that means is that we are a community-based parents as teachers program. And so we do home visits. We were in homes, but we are mostly doing virtual visits now. And we're excited to do that and stay connected with our families, even during a pandemic. And so today, a big component of that of parents as teachers and of our programming at Start at Zero is developmental screenings. You'll hear us refer to them as learning checkups, like I said, or just screening. Some people might, refer to them as assessments. And so we just wanted to have a conversation, some of me and my all-stars on our team, just about what screenings are, why we feel like they're important, what happens during a screening, and then how parents and caregivers can take that knowledge and then implement it in their everyday lives. So I'll introduce our team, part of our team first. So Ebony, you can go first and tell us what you do and how long you've been with Start at Zero.
Okay, so my name is Ebony Kearney, and I'm a parent educator. I've been with Start at Zero for about, I feel like 3 years, 3.5 years, but actually a parent educator for 2. This is my second year in this position, and I actually focus a lot on our developmental screenings or our learning checkups.
And you have kids too, I think, right?
I do. I have 2 little ones, Carly and Landon. Carly's 6. Landon is just turned 2. So please excuse me if you hear some little people in the background.
Yes, work from home life.
Yes.
All right, B.
Yes, my name is Beatrice Henry, and I have officially been with Start at Zero as a family Start at Zero for about 3.5 years now. We started for a year and a half, just kind of doing play groups and family engagements. I have a newly turned 8-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. So I think we started when Onyx was about 8 or 9 months play group, and he's 4 now. I've been officially on the Start at Zero staff or work family for about a little over 2 years, September, so 2 years now. My current position is educator and curriculum specialist. So I work with childcare providers, and I also do some virtual circle time. So if you see me on virtual circle time, that's me. Join us Tuesdays and Thursdays. And just kind of creating some curriculum and education activities for our families and children to kind of help, take the learning a step further.
Yes, thank you, Beatrice is an all-star. I mean, I love how we like Onyx is 4. How is he 4?
Oh my God! And I'm like, wait, what?
Like, what did we miss? We see and talk about him like every day, and how did we miss that he's 4 already? Like, it's crazy. So I often don't say this. I don't know why. I have 5 kids of my own. My oldest is 10, and then my baby is 4, almost 5. I won't even go through all of their ages and names and all of that. We'll be here for another 20 minutes just talking about my family. But the reason that we mention our own kids is because thankfully they are willing participants as we do training and as we develop different things to support families. We kind of use our own families to gauge interest, to do training for milestones and screenings and things like that. So when we at Start at Zero talk about, let me put my pen down. When we talk about screenings, what we mean is our ages and stages questionnaire. And so the ages and stages questionnaire starts from birth and goes to about 66 months. The publishers are working on some new things to expand it a little bit, but for now it's just between birth and 66 months. And what that does is take a snapshot of your kid at incremental stages to see like if their development is on track. And I use on track in parentheses because in quotes, because we know that kids develop at multiple different stages and ways, and culture influences it, parents' preferences on how and what they introduce their kids to, and all of that factors into like what our kids know and what they don't know. I always use the example that a lot of times parents and caregivers aren't letting their kids use crayons because they don't want them to color on the wall. They aren't letting them use scissors because they don't want them to cut each other's hair, which I've done both of those things. So shout out to my little sister. I cut her hair back in the day. And so we want to avoid those. And so sometimes in avoiding those things, we are often not introducing our children to activities that can help with their development. And so when we do those screenings, again, it's just a snapshot. And so it's not that your kid can't do some of these things or that they wouldn't be able to. It's just that maybe we haven't introduced them to it. Maybe we don't know that that's a milestone that they should be working on. Or maybe we don't have some of the materials in the house. And so what we do is use these screening results to show a child's strength and show some areas that they might need a little bit more support in. So they're pretty simple, fun activities that we do. You are your child's first teacher, which is what we always say. And because of that, you're going to know them best. And I'll talk about barriers later, but we have a lot of families that we do screenings with, and that kid just don't want to do it that day. And parents are like, I know he can do it. I know she can do it. And they're choosing not to do it that day. So again, when we talk about screenings, it's a snapshot of what your kid can do really sometimes that day, because what they can do that day doesn't determine what they can do the next week and the next month. And so Ebony is going to talk a little bit about what happens during the screening with families.
Yes. So if families are interested in getting a learning checkup, which is what we like to call it, we deliver a learning kit. We provide you with the materials that will be needed for that particular age of your child. And then at that point, we make an appointment. We work with families where they are. So we're extremely flexible. I mean, I work evenings, weekends. If a parent is interested in getting this done, I'm going to make sure it happens. So we set the appointment. It's all virtual, and it doesn't even take that long. So you can expect for us to be on the phone for maybe 35, 45 minutes. And in that time, we go through the maybe 4 or 5 different categories that focus on the developmental, which that could be problem solving, communication, gross motor, fine motor. I feel like I'm missing one. But just those aspects. And I feel like the younger ages go by really quickly because just like Jamisha said, it's just this like basically we're just seeing where they are, what they can do. So at younger ages, they're probably not doing too much of anything. So those kind of go quicker. But for like our toddlers, 2 to 3, they seem to love it. They enjoy it, especially the gross motor. We get to kick balls, catch balls, throw balls, hop in, standing on one leg. And I just try to present it as something fun to keep them entertained because, yes, like Jamisha said, sometimes they don't want to do anything, and that's okay. That's why we kind of always let the parents know, like, if you've seen them and you know they can do it, you're the parent, you know your child best, so we will take your word for that. And then we also do our social and emotional screening as well. So that goes to regulating those emotions. So tantrums, that goes into that, and kind of being independent, so saying no, all of those good things will let you know that your child is right on track. They're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, even though it seems like they doing too much, or like, okay, how can I handle these tantrums? But all of that kind of just gives parents the comfort, whether they're right on track or whether we find things that can be boosted by daily practicing. And like you said, just introduction. I had a lot of parents say, we never had scissors, like haven't tried that. And then once they start introducing it, they catch on really quickly because our little ones, they want to learn, especially when it comes to things where we probably tell them they can't have at first. So
right.
But after that, we do that. We complete the screening, and then we give you the results. The results can sometimes happen right after the appointment. Sorry, my little 2-year-old is right now.
Hey, Landon.
So, okay, guys, back up. Um, so that the results can sometimes happen right after the appointment or up to 2 days. And we can send it email, text, over the phone. But we like to get those results to parents as soon as possible. Just to let you know how their little ones are doing, and including with those results are also activities. They could have aced the whole thing. We're still going to send activities that are just helpful. We are all in the house together, so a little bit of extra things that they can do, I know it, is helpful, can be needed. So, and that's kind of the process. Again, we you let us know you're interested. We make an appointment. I'll drop off your kit. We actually have the screenings, and then I deliver the results through text or email within 2 days. And then, thank you. And then I send you the results included in with some activities, and then to let you know other ways to connect to us, whether that's home visiting or a virtual circle time. So, yeah.
You made it. You made it through the end of your talk without too much interruption. Thank you, Ebony, for sharing that. And I think, like you said, we always send activities no matter what. And so sometimes with the screenings, we'll be real about that. Like, we do identify some concerns or some potential delays. And when we do see some concerns, we can either do some intensive coaching with you and your family through family visiting if you're in Jackson County. And then if not, we can refer you to other Parents as Teachers programs. And then we also partner with First Steps and school districts to refer if we see a concern for a possible delay. And so that's also important. So the earlier that we can detect any issues, the earlier that we can deal with them and get you the support you need, whether that's from us or from another community partner. And so we're really excited about that part of our work, because you don't have to wonder what your child is doing or what they should be doing. Like, you can know at any given moment by doing a learning checkup, screening with us. And so before Beatrice goes, like Ebony said, we do have those results. And so they do go directly to you as the parent or caregiver. We don't share those with anybody. They go directly to you. And then what I do recommend parents do is share those results with the doctor's office. So a lot of times we walk into the doctor's office and we're waiting on them to tell us what our kids should be doing and how they should be doing it. But then you have the information in your hand to be able to share that with your provider. And oftentimes what we see in research is if you come in knowledgeable, then you're going to get better care for your child and for your family. And so we want our families and our community to get the best possible care. And so if you can take these the questionnaires and the results to the doctor and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's where we're on track. Here's where I'm working to grow and strengthen my child in some different areas. Then you will, they appreciate that too. And then it's just helpful information for you to have. And so, Beatrice, I want you to talk about some other ways that parents can use the information from the screenings.
Okay. Yes. And that is a really good thing, because that's my specialty, working on activities that go with those things. So it's kind of like a pretty much a curriculum that's based on what my child needs to know, what they should be doing. So our virtual circle times are things that we're using those, those guidelines to kind of base and create activities on. Any of the things on this sheet are kind of like things that you could and should be doing with your child. There are 3 sections on there. You either answer yes, no, or sometimes. And for those answers that could be no, it's like, hey, I didn't think to measure. There's one that says, can your child jump 3 feet? Now, most of us are not going through our homes with a tape measure when they jump to see how many feet they're jumping. But you can incorporate that into an activity. Get an actual tape measure and put it down, and let's say, okay, I want to see how far you can jump. And that's something that you're practicing it. And especially if you have children that are different ages, when your youngest is doing it, that's something that's on your oldest ASQ. By the time that younger child gets to that point, they're already working on it, practicing it. So that's not something that you have to say, oh, I didn't know, and I have to completely create something fresh. Because your older child is doing it, and you have a guide of things that you should and could be doing with your children. Like blocks is another thing. Can your child stack blocks? Can they line blocks up? These are things that a lot of parents are already doing with their children, but you're not saying, okay, let's count 7 blocks and see if you can stack 7 blocks. They're just playing with blocks. So this gives you a guideline to say, okay, we know we're doing blocks. Now let's see if we can specifically do 7 blocks. So these are just different things. Like Ebony said, it's fun stuff like kicking a ball. Kids love movement. They love stuff that they can do. And just even with my children, when I had my oldest, I was home with her a lot. I sewed, and we had scissors, crayons, all that kind of stuff just down all the time. So she learned how to do it earlier. When my son came along, I'm like, okay, I have other stuff to do. I can't just leave scissors around because I don't know what would.
Right.
So he has experience, like having things that are just intentionally left in his environment. So I had to create those times with him to say, okay, let's get some scissors out. Let me sit here so I can watch you, make sure you're doing this right. But if you put that in their environment, they already know how to use it. So these ASQs are really good, just as a guideline and a model to say, okay, this is something that I should be doing with my child. And these are things that I can add into our environment to make sure that they're getting the exposure to these specific activities and learning milestones. And you can always come to us too. Like Ebony said, there's activity sheets. So we give those as well. And they're different. Some of them I give a 6-month range for age groups to say any child that's in this age range, these are the activities that will be good for them. And they always correspond with any of the questions that'll be coming with your ASQ. So that's also helpful. So you can do it before, you can do it after, you can do it during, so that you're already preparing yourself and your child for the things that they'll be kind of not necessarily tested on, but kind of just gauge to see how they're doing at that age level.
And I want to speak on that too, like kind of how you said between the parenting differences. Same thing with me. So I've also been a part of Start at Zero since Carly was about 10 months. I did, as a family. So I was really familiar with these. But with Landon, we battled like a little eczema. So we kept his mittens on for maybe over too long. And one of the things that helped me pinpoint, like, oh, these mittens probably weren't the best thing, was a screening. I seen that his fine motor was a little bit lower, and I knew it was because of those mittens, like that restriction that he had. So that was just a point for me to also take in consideration too on how that was helpful. I always like to tell parents too, like, think of the ASQ or the learning checkup similar to the health checkup, like when you mentioned taking this to the doctor. I always tell my parents these are good. Doctors, the physician, they love to see these. Just like you take your child to get their health check, their vision, their eyes, and all of that. This is their development, and it's no set way to do it. So Start at Zero is here to kind of present a parent-friendly way, and we're here to support you do that. So parenting is work, and it is all intentional. But when you have resources and people out there that's kind of there to help it a little bit easier along the way, that's the type of things that I'm thankful for. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ebony, for your honesty just about Landon and us being able to like identify that, and I think as a team, we're a really strong team. And so we're able to support each other. So I remember doing the screening with Landon and then like, okay, well, why is this fine motor off? We do this professionally, And so just that honesty to say that even as professionals that do this, our kids still have some things that we haven't exposed them to. Like Beatrice said, I love that word exposed, because with my 4 and 5, I'm tired. Listen. And with last year we did a screening with them, and my daughter was a little bit, there's a little concern about her gross motor, and with my son, there's a little concern about his fine motor. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do that we already have access to that would make it easy? Because thinking about specifically their development, it's kind of a lot, you think about the specific things in each area. And so to have an overview, to have an organization like Start at Zero that is doing virtual circle time, and I can jump in to talk about social emotional health and bring the little kids along with me, it just makes it easier. So I think one of the things we want is to just make sure people have access to it, but also not put additional pressure on parents, because we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're already tired. We're already stressed. There's already a lot to do. And so we don't want to add to that. We want to make activities and screenings like easy for you to do, and then just incorporate some things that you already have in the house. You don't have to buy a whole bunch of extra toys. We recycle a bunch of things. I have my own, we did a social emotional conversation and yoga yesterday with our circle time, and we said get you a yoga mat or a bath towel. All of us have a bath towel, or you have a little kid, a big t-shirt, something like that they can do their yoga on, or you can just do it on the floor, but we want to make sure that these things are accessible. So all of our programs are free for families. And so keep that in mind as you engage with us. And then like we're here, so we're here if you want to sign up for a learning checkup. We also offer the family visiting, which is just more check-ins. And I think for us, it's just easy. Like, parent educator is coming, virtual circle time is happening. Just log in and make it happen, because this is what we have right now. And this is what, uh-oh, I heard myself talking. I have an echo. This is what we have right now, and this is just what it is. And so hopefully we can all make the most of it by using screenings to support families, so that you have some information, more information about your child, more information about yourself as a parent, and how you can include these activities and the screening as a way to be more engaged with your child. Because really, it's just all play. It's all play, and play is learning, and that's what we really want our families and our children, our work babies, to know. So, anything else y'all want to add?
Yeah, and I want to say for parents too, people talk about there's no guide that comes with parents, like a learning manual when you have kids. They don't give you those when you leave the hospital. And this is not going to be like the one size fits all information, but it will give you a guide to kind of say, okay, at 6 months, if you don't have like early childhood experience and you don't know child development stages, at 6 months, what could a 6-month-old be doing, or what should a 6-month-old be doing, or a 2-year-old, or a 4 or a 5-year-old. So if you don't have that experience with that, please check in with the parent educator. Anyone that started zero really could help you out and like point you in the direction to get this information. So it gives you at least an outline for what a child at this age should be doing, to kind of give you just some insight on things that you could be working with on. And just like, hey, I don't know what a 6-month-old does, but this kind of gives me an idea of things that they could be doing, or just some things that I could just kind of incorporate into our environment to kind of make it easier on me as a parent. Because I've used
Absolutely. I mean, I think Landon had something he wanted to say.
No, he came here blasting the TV. I was like, give me the remote. Well, one last thing that I would like to say about the learning checkups or the developmental screenings, there are certain things that you can do that this can prepare your child to be the best learner that they can be. And this is one of them. It's just a perspective for the parents, a way to just, prepare your child. We always focus on kindergarten readiness, and then this is just a step in that. So, and also, we do have our virtual circle time for our little ones, but we have messenger room for grown-up. So check it out.
Yes, Ebony, like you said, we have messenger rooms. We have virtual circle time. You can find out about all of these at startadzero.org, where our programs are, where our screenings are. You can go ahead and get the screening started, and then once you finish it, a parent educator will contact you within 5 days to make sure you have those results and a good explanation to go along with them. And again, we do wraparound supports for families. So we have our parent cafes, we have our messenger rooms just to chit chat, because it's a lot. And I have a lot of friends, but right now I'm like, I just don't even know where to start with friendships and relationships and keeping my social connections going. So as we talk about the kids and the screenings, make sure you don't forget about yourself, and other peers in your circle, and get them plugged in and check on each other. And next week we have the parent cafe that's 6:30 to 8:30. And so we get to take a deeper dive into, how you're really doing and how you're really doing as a parent. And then my like Ebony said, we're focused on kindergarten readiness, but there's a lot that happens before you actually get to kindergarten. And so we want to make sure that early childhood is a priority in this space. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. And thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you. Bye.